In this video, we're going to take a look at something called the distributive property and combine it with what we learned last time about combining like terms to further enable us to simplify different mathematical expressions. The distributive property shows up when we have a number or a term, could have numbers or variables, outside of parentheses in which we have addition or subtraction. And what this means, remember that anytime we see two things next to each other with parentheses, we have multiplication. We're going to take the multiplication on the outside and distribute it to each term on the inside. So A times, in parentheses, B plus C is the same thing as A times B plus A times C. So here, for our first example, we have 3 times 2, which is 6, plus, because we have a positive sign here in the middle, 3 times positive 4, which gives me 12. So in the distributive property, we have 6, I wrote 16, 6 plus 12, and then we can simplify that to give us our answer of 18. Now remember, we could also use the order of operations. We could simplify the parentheses first, and 3 times 6 is 18, but we're practicing the distributive property here, so we want to try that out. For this next one, we're going to do the same thing. So negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Then we have our next multiplication problem, negative 4 times 1, which is negative 4. I have 12 negatives, I get 4 more negatives, I only have negatives, that means I have 16 negatives for my final answer. And again, we could use the order of operations to check our work. Inside the parentheses, 3 plus 1 is 4, and negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. Go ahead and try the next example on your own. Alright. So we're going to try this one out. 5 times 2 is our first multiplication, so that gives us 10. Then we also have to do 5 times negative 3, because remember these signs go together. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15, and 10 minus 15 is negative 5. We can check our work with the order of operations. Inside the parentheses, 2 minus 3 is negative 1, and 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Go ahead and pause the video and try the last example. Okay, so we start with negative 2 times 6, which is negative 12. Then we do multiplication by the second number, so negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6, and negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6. We can also check with the order of operations. Negative 2 times 6 minus 3 is 3, and negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. If you're having trouble with the positive and negative numbers, use a calculator to help you with the addition, subtraction, or multiplication. Another reminder is when we just see a negative sign by itself out in front, remember that we have a hidden 1 here, so we'd actually be multiplying by negative 1. So the first multiplication problem would be negative 1 times 4, which is negative 4, and then we have negative 1 times negative 5, which is positive 5, and negative 4 plus 5 is positive 1. We could check with the order of operations. We have negative 1 times 4 minus 5 is negative 1, and negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. This also works when we have variables inside the parentheses. So we're going to do the same thing. 4 times x is 4x. Then we do the second multiplication problem. 4 times positive 2 is positive 8. These are not like terms, so I can't combine them. So this is actually my final answer for this problem. If we try the next one, our first multiplication is negative 3 times w, which is negative 3w. Then we have to also distribute to the second term, positive 5. So negative 3 times positive 5 is negative 15, and these aren't like terms, so we can't combine them either. Go ahead and try the next two examples on your own. Alright, for this first one, we have 5 times y, which is 5y. Then we also have 5 times negative 6, which is negative 30. And again, we can't combine them, so that's as far as we go. For this example, we have negative 2 times g, which is negative 2g, but we also have negative 2 times negative 5, which is positive 10. Those can't be combined, so this is our final answer. Now we're going to put distributive property and combining like terms together to simplify our expressions. And the key is to remember to always distribute first. So we have to start with the distributive property because distributive property represents multiplication. And in the order of operations, multiplication from that distributive property always comes before we do addition and subtraction. So the first thing I'm going to do here is start by distributing. I have 2 times x, which is 2x. Then I have 2 times positive 5, which is positive 10. I haven't changed the plus 3x yet, so I'm just going to write that down. And now we're going to look for like terms. So I have 2x, and I'm looking for anything with just an x after it, and I have that here as well with positive 3x. Notice again how I keep the sign in front of that term. 2x's plus 3 more gives me 5x altogether, and I haven't changed this plus 10, so that comes down into my answer. We can do the same thing with this next example. I'm going to keep this sign with this number. So this is positive 3 that we're multiplying, but first we're going to just rewrite the 4x because that's not going to change in this step. Then we have positive 3 times x, which is positive 3x, and then we have positive 3 times positive 2, which is positive 6. Go ahead and combine like terms to simplify your answer. Alright, so this first term is an x term, which means we need to look for any other x terms, and we have one here with 3x. So we have 4x's plus 3 more gives me 7x, and we bring down the plus 6 because nothing's going to change with that. Go ahead and try this next example on your own. Alright, we start with the distributive property. So I have negative 4 times w, which is negative 4w. Then we have negative 4 times positive 2, which is negative 8. And we bring down the plus 3w because we haven't changed that yet. Now we're going to look for like terms. Here I have negative 4w, and here I have positive 3w. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1, so I have negative 1w minus 8. And usually you'll just see this written as negative w minus 8. We usually don't write the 1. When we have subtraction in the middle here, like we do with this one, we want to make sure that we keep that negative sign stuck with that 3. So again, we bring down the 6x, and now we do negative 3 times x, which is negative 3x, and negative 3 times 5, which is negative 15. Now we go ahead and combine like terms. So we have 6x and negative 3x, so 6 minus 3 is 3, and we bring down the x, and then we bring down minus 15 because that didn't change, and it doesn't have anything to combine. Okay, we've got a few more examples to take a look at. Go ahead and pause the video and try the first two on your own. Alright, in our first example, we distribute first, giving us 3x minus 12, and the minus 2x plus 10 just comes down. Then we combine like terms, so everything with an x can get combined. 3x minus 2x is just 1x, and you can write the 1 there, but we usually won't see it. And then negative 12 plus 10 is negative 2, so we end up with x minus 2. For the second example, we distribute negative 5, so we end up with negative 5y. Negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10. Bring down the minus 4 plus y. Then we combine. Negative 5y plus y is negative 4y. 10 minus 4 is 6. Go ahead and pause the video and try the last two examples on your own. Alright, so first we distribute. 5 doesn't change. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 4x. We combine like terms. 5 plus 6 is 11. 6x plus 4x is 10x. So we get 11 plus 10x, which is the same thing as 10x plus 11. Then we move on to the next one. 2 comes down, that doesn't change. We distribute the negative 7 through to both terms in parentheses. We have negative 7x minus 14 plus the 6x out at the end. We combine like terms. 2 minus 14 is negative 12. Negative 7x plus 6x is negative x. So now we have negative 12 minus 6x, and we're allowed to rearrange those terms into negative x minus 12.